January 1982, the Troubadour, in West Hollywood, Los Angeles. A female patron takes offense at Vince Neil's official US Marines uniform, and Vince punches her out, leading to his arrest. Despite this inauspicious start to the year, the band signs an international distribution deal with Green World Records, proving instrumental in spreading their debut album across the US and UK. But by February, the band is again involved in violent altercations. This time, outside one of their favourite watering holes, the world-famous Rainbow Bar and Grill, a favourite with the rock and roll crowd. It's here that Nikki Sixx and Vince Neil find themselves in a confrontation after their girlfriends were hit on by bikers. Never once to back down from a fight, the situation escalates.
Hey, fuck you, asshole.
And undercover police officers intervene. Misunderstandings and tensions lead to Nicky hitting one of the officers with his chain, resulting in his arrest. Vince manages to escape, but he's beaten by police in the alley afterward. These events, dubbed the sequel to Riot on Sunset Strip, highlight the band's penchant for attracting controversy. Sixx is told he'd spend 5 years in the state penitentiary, but ultimately spends a night in jail and is bailed out by his then-girlfriend, Lita Ford, for $1,000. The proceeds of her hawked Firebird Trans Am. Despite the physical and emotional toll, the band remains resilient. Sixx now only has to wear black eye makeup on one eye, at least for a while. Undeterred by setbacks, Mötley Crüe continue to create music. Sixx channels his recent encounter with the LAPD into songwriting, penning lyrics for a track called Knock 'Em Dead Kid. In April '82, Mötley Crüe play a sold-out show at the Santa Monica Civic, which serves as a turning point in their career. The performance, produced by racing car promoter Steve Glaveski, catches the attention of record labels and piques their interest. The band's unique and flamboyant stage presence, which includes setting fire to instruments and using smoke bombs, solidifies their reputation as a local entertainment powerhouse. Tom Zutaut, a sales assistant at Elektra Records, stumbles upon Mötley Crüe's growing popularity. He witnesses a crowd of fans attempting to get into the Whiskey A Go-Go and notices a striking display of the band's album at a nearby record store. Intrigued, Zutaut attends their show, and he's thoroughly impressed. He initiates discussions with Alan Kaufman about signing the band to Elektra Records, and sign them they do. The band celebrates the signing with dinner at Benihana, but their rowdy behavior gets them kicked out of the restaurant. With this signing, major management companies start courting the band. Kaufman, feeling the need for additional expertise and support, brings Bill Larson, a concert promoter with radio promotion experience, on board. However, financial strains and conflicts arise, leading to tensions within the band and ultimately the termination of Kaufman's management. The band start working on their second album, tentatively titled Shout with the Devil, bringing in producer Tom Werman. However, tensions again rise within the band regarding their management and financial matters. Despite this, the year ends on a high note as Mötley Crüe perform at the Santa Monica Civic Auditorium for a New Year's Eve show called New Year's Evil. The concert showcases their glam rock style and includes elaborate stage effects, but the band do face fines for their use of fire during the performance. In February of 1983, Mötley Crüe fly to Las Vegas on Doc McGhee's private plane to meet with him and observe how he runs his organization. The meeting comes about after Doug Thaler and Doc McGhee witness the band's mind-blowing performance on New Year's Eve and become interested in managing them. Impressed by McGhee's expertise and motivation to play bigger shows, Mötley Crüe decide to make a management change. They bring on Doc and Doug, and the partnership proves fruitful. Under their new management, Mötley Crüe embark on a series of support shows for the iconic band Kiss. The Crüe kick off their first support show for Kiss on the West Coast leg of the Creatures of the Night tour. The band perform at the 5,700 capacity Irvine Meadows Amphitheater in California. In April '83, the Moral Majority, a conservative political organization, attempt to halt Mötley Crüe and Kiss's Easter performance at the San Francisco Civic Auditorium. They place bike racks in front of the stage doors to prevent the bands from entering the venue. Despite this interference, the show goes on, but Mötley Crüe's behavior on tour leads to their removal. Gene Simmons decides to kick Mötley Crüe off the tour, citing misconduct. Doug Thaler, though, believes the decision was made because Mötley Crüe was outshining Kiss on stage. The real reason, though, was later revealed. Tommy Lee and Nikki Sixx were caught having sex with Kiss drummer Eric Carr's girlfriend behind the drum kit in Phoenix, Arizona, during his performance of the band's Rock and Roll All Night. In May 1983, Mötley Crüe entered Cherokee Studios to begin recording their follow-up to Too Fast for Love. On Memorial Day weekend, Mötley Crüe performed at the 3-day US Festival, held at Glen Helen Regional Park in San Bernardino, California. Arriving in style, the band experienced their first helicopter ride to the festival grounds. The Crüe play on Heavy Metal Day, the second day of the festival. Taking the stage after Quiet Riot, Mötley Crüe performed in front of an astounding crowd of 370,000 people, braving the scorching spring heat. The US Festival, with its massive attendance and notable lineup, became a significant milestone in Mötley Crüe's career. Their performance at the festival, alongside greats like Judas Priest and Van Halen, would later be regarded as one of the most influential and important moments for the band. And it was also here that Vince makes out with Tom Zutaut's Date, a precursor of things to come. In June of 1983, Sixx finds himself at a party hosted by producer Roy Thomas Baker in Hollywood. Accompanied by Tommy Lee and his girlfriend, Candace Starrett, the night takes a wild turn as they indulge in copious amounts of drugs in Baker's jacuzzi. As the night progresses, Baker locks down the house, preventing intoxicated guests from leaving. Eager to see his girlfriend Lita Ford, Sixx searches for his clothes but can't find them. Determined to make his way to Lita's place, he resorts to scaling the walls of Baker's house. Naked and drug-fueled, Sixx drives off in his Porsche 911, where he had left the keys, conveniently, in the ignition. Two girls who failed to gain entry to the party spot Sixx and give chase in their '68 Mustang. As Sixx's speedometer climbs to 90 miles per hour, he glances back to see if he's lost the pursuing girls. In that brief moment of distraction, his Porsche collides with a telephone pole, which ends up in the passenger seat. Sixx hitches a ride to the hospital, and after receiving medical attention for his dislocated shoulder, a lucky escape, he returns home. Following the accident, Nikki Sixx seeks solace in drugs to numb the pain of his shoulder injury. It's at this juncture that he first smokes heroin, seeking an escape from his troubles. Through his mutual friend Robin Crosby from Rat and Gregory Boaz, Nikki Sixx discovers higher grade heroin and begins experimenting with needles. Soon, he's concocting his own speedballs, cementing his dependency on drugs as a long-term vice. On September 17, 1983, Mötley Crüe deliver a monumental performance at San Diego's Qualcomm Stadium, playing in front of a crowd of 50,000 people. Sharing the stage with Def Leppard, Uriah Heep, and Eddie Money, the band showcased their signature high energy and captivating stage presence, solidifying their reputations as a force to be reckoned with. Around this time, the Crüe released a highly anticipated music video for their first single, Looks That Kill, a single that would hit the US Hot 100 chart. Weeks later, Shout at the Devil is released. The album quickly gains momentum, selling 200,000 copies within its first 2 weeks, ultimately reaching number 17 on the Billboard chart. Rock journalist Martin Popoff calls it punk-rocking lobotomy metal. Ultimate Classic Rock's Eduardo Rivadavia calls it the ultimate LA glam metal album, while Dave Constable of Metal Forces writes at the time that Mötley Crüe has possibly come up with the major label metal release of 1983. The album would go on to sell more than 4 million copies in the United States alone, going 4 times platinum. To this day, many Mötley Crüe fans think it is one of, if not the best, album the band put out. perhaps the most raw and representative of the band at the peak of their alcohol and testosterone-fueled debauchery. Although some have associated the album with obvious satanic themes, Mötley Crüe have clarified many times over the years that it was about shouting at the devil rather than with him. The stage was set for Mötley Crüe to continue their ascent and leave an indelible mark on the world of rock and metal. But while the Crüe were on the rise, on the East Coast, in New York, a new band was taking shape. One that, at least publicly, was more clean-cut and fit for mainstream consumption. In the summer of 1982, John Francis Bon Jovi Jr., aka John Bon Jovi, finds himself working part-time at a women's shoe store, his dreams of music hanging in the balance. But fate intervenes when his cousin gets him a gig at the prestigious Power Station Studios in Manhattan. John, who had first stepped on stage as a 13-year-old in 1975 with his band Raise, his raw talent on piano and guitar and ability to captivate audiences already apparent, John pours his heart and soul into creating demos, hoping to catch the ear of record execs. The turning point comes in 1983 when he makes a fateful visit to a local radio station, WAPP 103.5 FM. There, he meets DJ Chip Hobart and promotion director John Lassman, who recognizes the potential in John's music. They propose including Runaway on the station's compilation album, an opportunity John initially hesitates to embrace. But he relents, re-recording his song Runaway with a group of talented studio musicians known as the All-Star Review. The song quickly gains traction, captivating the airwaves in New York and beyond. The infectious melody and John's compelling vocals resonate with audiences. With Runaway gaining momentum, John knows he needs a band to bring his music to life on stage. In March '83, he makes a life-changing call to longtime friend and former band buddy David Bryan, who in turn reaches out to bassist Alec John Such and drummer Tico Torres, both veterans of the band Phantom's Opera. The pieces start falling into place. Guitarist Dave Sabo, who would eventually form Skid Row, joins them for a short tour supporting Runaway. However, it's Richie Sambora, a hometown guitarist recommended by Alec and Tico, who catches John's attention with his exceptional talent, good looks, and his experience touring with renowned artists. With lineup solidified, the band are ready for 1984 in more ways than one. In the next episode of Battle of the Bands, Bon Jovi, Mark, they're a rock. If you're digging Battle of the Bands, take a moment to like, share, or subscribe wherever you listen to it, and maybe just tell a friend about it. But before you go, if you'd like to keep up to date with all the goings-on in the world of heavy metal music, then check out our friends over at the May Contain Metal podcast. Two geezers reminiscent of an articulate British Beavis and Butthead discuss all the goings-on in the world of metal. They bring you slightly daft reviews of all the best new releases from bands you love and bands you've never heard of, plus lots of other funny metal-related stuff. You can find May Contain Metal wherever you listen to your podcasts. Until next time, keep those headphones in and those horns up.